The storm was too strong. The river below was raging like it wanted to swallow the world, and the wooden bridge looked like it would collapse any second. But then he saw them. Two tiny figures running on the broken bridge, and a third one chasing them. "Wait, that man has an axe," the co-pilot shouted. The pilot's eyes widened. Below them, a giant muscular man, bare-chested, wild-eyed, was sprinting across the collapsing wooden planks, lifting a heavy axe high above his head. In front of him, a terrified man was running for his life. The bridge snapped beneath their feet. Wood exploded into the air. The river roared, and the man with the axe screamed like a beast. But the helicopter crew didn't know the truth, and the truth would shock them all. 30 minutes earlier, everything had started in silence. Rain had just begun to fall over the forest valley. The river was already violent from the weak storms. The bridge, an old forgotten bridge used only by villagers, creaked under the wind. On the far side of the bridge, a man named Daniel walked slowly. His clothes were dusty. His eyes were empty. Daniel had just buried his little sister that morning. She had been sick for months. Hospitals were too expensive. Medicine never came. And when she finally stopped breathing, Daniel felt like the world had ended. He walked without direction, without hope. The forest path led him to the bridge. Halfway across, Daniel stopped. The river thundered below him. He stared at the violent water. "Maybe it's easier this way," he whispered to himself. His hands gripped the old wooden rails. He climbed onto the edge. One step forward, and the river would take him. His mind was heavy with memories. His sister laughing, her small hand holding his, her last week's smile in the hospital bed. "I'm sorry," Daniel whispered. But before he could move, a voice exploded behind him. "Hey, don't you dare." Daniel turned. A massive man was running toward him from the forest side of the bridge. He was enormous, muscular, covered in sweat, and he was holding an axe. Daniel's heart froze. The giant shouted again, "Get down from there." But Daniel panicked. To him, it looked like a madman was charging at him with a weapon. So he jumped down from the rail and started running across the bridge. The giant man cursed loudly and ran after him. "Stop. You'll fall." But Daniel ran faster. The bridge creaked violently. Planks cracked under their feet. The giant lifted the axe higher. From a distance, it looked like he was about to strike. But the truth was different. He wasn't trying to kill Daniel. He was trying to save him. The giant's name was Victor. He was a forest ranger. And 20 minutes earlier, Victor had inspected the bridge. He knew something terrible. The center supports had been destroyed by the flood. The entire middle section was about to collapse. When Victor saw Daniel walking onto the bridge earlier, he rushed to warn him. But Daniel had already stepped onto the weakest part. Now both of them were running toward the collapsing center. And Daniel still believed he was being hunted. The helicopter crew above had just been passing through the storm when they spotted the chaos. "Sir, that bridge is breaking apart," the co-pilot yelled. The pilot lowered the helicopter. Wind blasted the trees. The spotlight cut through the rain. Below, the scene looked terrifying. The giant man leaped over broken planks, raising the axe. Daniel screamed in fear. Wood shattered under his feet. Then suddenly, crack. The center of the bridge collapsed. Daniel slipped. His foot punched through the wood. He fell forward. The river roared beneath him. He screamed. But before he could fall through the hole, a massive hand grabbed his jacket. Victor. The giant ranger pulled Daniel upward with incredible strength. Daniel stared at him in shock. "You idiot," Victor shouted. "I'm trying to save you." Daniel's mind froze. The helicopter hovered directly above them now. The crew watched in disbelief. "Drop the rescue net," the pilot ordered. The co-pilot kicked the release. A huge rescue net dropped from the helicopter, swinging wildly in the wind. But the bridge was collapsing too fast. Another section cracked. The planks beneath Victor broke apart. Both men slipped. The axe flew out of Victor's hand and spun through the air before crashing into the river. Daniel screamed as the bridge collapsed beneath them. But at that exact moment, the rescue net swung down. It slammed into them. The ropes wrapped around Daniel's body. Victor grabbed the net with one hand while holding Daniel with the other. "Lift them," the pilot shouted. The helicopter engine roared. The net tightened. Slowly, the two men rose into the air. Below them, the entire bridge collapsed into the raging river. Wood exploded into the current and vanished. Daniel looked down in horror. If Victor hadn't grabbed him seconds earlier, he would already be gone. The helicopter lifted them higher. Rain whipped their faces. Daniel's breathing shook. He looked at Victor. I thought you were going to kill me." Victor laughed loudly despite the storm. With an axe, Daniel nodded. Victor shook his head. "I was trying to cut the rope supports so the bridge wouldn't pull you down when it collapsed." Daniel stared at him. Everything he believed was wrong. The giant man chasing him was actually the one who saved him. The helicopter door opened. Rescue workers pulled them inside. Daniel collapsed onto the metal floor. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then the pilot looked at Daniel. "You're lucky," he said quietly. Daniel looked at Victor. "No," Daniel whispered. "I'm alive because of him." Silence filled the helicopter. Rain pounded the windows. After a long moment, Victor sat beside Daniel. "What were you doing on that bridge alone?" he asked gently. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "My sister died today." The helicopter crew went silent again. Daniel continued speaking with a broken voice. "I didn't want to live anymore." Victor stared at him for several seconds. Then he placed a huge hand on Daniel's shoulder. "You were about to throw away your life." Daniel nodded slowly. "Yes." Victor pointed at the storm outside the window. "You see that river?" Daniel nodded. "It's powerful," Victor said. "But storms pass. Rivers calm. Pain changes." Daniel wiped his tears. Victor smiled. "And sometimes a crazy giant with an axe shows up at the right moment." The helicopter crew laughed softly. For the first time that day, Daniel smiled. 30 minutes later, the helicopter landed safely at the rescue base. The rain finally stopped. Clouds began to open. A golden sunset spread across the valley. Daniel stepped out of the helicopter slowly. He looked at Victor. "I don't know how to thank you." Victor shrugged. "Easy." "How?" "Live." Daniel looked toward the bright sky. For the first time since his sister died, the world didn't feel empty anymore. And somewhere deep inside his heart, a quiet hope began to grow again.